I love that you've still been able to honor what your mom gave you as it relates to faith, while still having compassion to the areas where she needed grace in her own life. And I feel like that's like the complicated nature of being in relationship with people, is that sometimes they're going to give you the best of themselves, and then sometimes they're going to need grace for themselves. How have you been able to kind of like heal and mend your relationship with your mom?
Whew. With my mom, mm, I love my mom. I always love my mom. That was never really the problem.
Mm,
I just had to understand that she could do what she knew, if that
okay.
makes sense. I can't fault her or blame her for things that maybe she didn't have in her life. I had to value and appreciate the things that she did do in my life,
Yeah.
which was showing up when she could, which was being there when I needed her in the most darkest moments. My mom is always there. So she might not be able to show up on times where I wish she was there always, because we know she deals with her own mental illness. My mom suffers from depression,
Mm,
seasonal depression. So sometimes she's happy, sometimes she's not as happy, but me as her daughter, her as my mom, I know that I just have to take her as she is and love her as the queen that she is. And my mom is a queen. She's very strong. She instilled a lot of like my character skills as far as like being resilient. My mom is very resilient. And yeah, I love my mom. So we're still working on things. We're still bonding. We're still growing. But right now, I would say we are in the best chapter that we've probably ever been
mm,
in. And we're really close. And right now, we're actually like about to start like a few different small businesses with her, getting more creative, because my mom is also really creative. Like it
wow.
doesn't come from nowhere. Like my mom is super creative. So yeah, we've been bonding, we've been healing, and we're doing pretty good.
That's good. Can you see the pieces of your mom and you? Like, do you ever have moments where you're like, man, that's something my mother would do? I'm becoming just like my mother. And does that make you more compassionate? Because, baby, when I look at my history and I can see, I see my mother, I don't know. I can see how I picked up on her strengths, and sometimes how I even picked up on her insecurities and how they show up. It's so funny, kind of. I was talking to my therapist, and she was like, do you think that you overcompensate as a mother because you think your mother is watching you, or you would want your mother's stamp of approval, or you're trying to do something that your mother didn't do? And I had to really sit with how our mothers and our relationships with our mothers show up in our identity as a woman, and then we get to choose whether or not we want to keep them. But I feel like some by default we get them, but it is by choice that we decide whether or not those character traits can stay.
Correct. I agree. We all have our own self identity, even though we come from somewhere, and certain things can also be transferred genetically.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, hmm, okay, this is where I come from. This is my mom. Her genetics and her blood literally makes me who I am. So I would say I'm blessed and happy to identify the good things that she passed down to me, like being resilient and being strong minded and being an independent woman. And just like, looking towards the glory rather than like some of the other things, because being a woman is so complicated. We are some
Yeah.
of the most important beings in the world. We have so many job titles, we have so many different things that we have to do. Being confident, being vulnerable, being courageous, being loving, being compassionate, the list goes on and on and on. But with my mom, I would just have to say, like, I definitely see the things in myself that I see her doing. Like the other day, I said, like, woo child. And it just came out of nowhere. And like my mom, she always says, like, woo child.